I'm Joe Studman, I'm a city guide, and we're standing outside the ruined church of St Dunstan's in the East. Before we go in and have a look, I want to show you the tower. Now this tower was built and designed by Sir Christopher Wren. It's one of his finest. If you can look at the pinnacle that's at the top, it's standing on these four very fine flying buttresses and looks quite delicate and fragile. But in fact it's one of his strongest spires in the city. In 1703 there was a great storm that destroyed many of the towers and the spires in the city, and when Sir Christopher Wren heard about this he said, "Not St Dunstan's, I'm sure." And it wasn't. It withstood the storm. In fact, when they built this tower, his daughter, his only daughter Jane, went up there on a hoist to lay the last stone in, just to show her confidence in the building. And before they took the scaffolding away, she came down and lay prostrate at the foot of the tower to show that she had confidence that it would survive. And it has done for 400 years. Now we'll go and have a look inside. Now, although these walls and windows look fairly Gothic and medieval, they're actually Victorian. Now, I said that Wren built the tower because in the Great Fire just before the Great Fire of London, this church had to be repaired and these walls were repaired, so they were pre-fire and they survived the fire. The tower didn't, and that's why Wren had to repair it. And the tower stood and the church stood until the early 1800s. And then they found the walls were bowing out, so they had to be repaired, but they left the tower. And these walls then are actually early 19th century. The church was then gutted again in 1941. And the church commissioners after the war couldn't decide what to do with the church. They felt this was valuable land and perhaps best thing to do was sell it and use it for commercial development. But the Corporation of London, in a far enlightened moment, decided they would buy it off the church commissioners and turn it into this fabulous park that you can see today. They say full of Virginia creepers and vines and exotic plants. And it's another oasis where city workers can come and have their lunch, and travellers into the city can come and get a bit of respite from the hurly-burly of their everyday life. The tower, incidentally, one going back finally to the tower, the bells are no longer in the tower. In 1971 they were shipped to the Napa Valley in California, so if you want to hear the bells of St Dunstan's you'd have to go to America to listen to them. But there are loads of stories like this in the city, and if you want to hear more of them, come on one of my walks with me and I'll show you some more exotic plants and places.